Today, on Be Something Wonderful, knowing this makes you invincible. Closing the Unhappiness Gap. I am your host, Tom Kieran, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Yesterday's lesson, we talked about this idea of not minding what happens. When you don't mind what happens, when you accept all outcomes, when you embrace what is, this releases all of that resistance, all that wanting, all that grasping, all that reaching and desiring for what you want, and you attract and manifest all of your desires. This is how it works. That's the paradox that we talked about of the universe. But then you wrote me, a few of you have written me and said, well, Tom, I get that, but what if I don't feel that way? What if I do mind what happens? How do I get there? And what if my emotions are not the emotions of not minding what happens? This is big. I want to unpack this right now. Well, guys, here's what I want to say. It's bigger than that. And that's really what I wanted to get with yesterday. It's much bigger than not minding what happens. It's why we don't mind what happens. This, when you get this, then you got it. Why don't we mind what happens? Knowing this is what makes you invincible, because nothing in the outside world can hurt you. Nothing in the outside world can make you feel anything. Nothing in the outside world can make you feel happy, sad, angry, or calm. That all comes from within you. That's the big message that I wanted to get from yesterday. The 3D world is powerless. That's why you don't mind what happens, because it all comes from within you. This is huge. Remember, it's always just the story you're telling yourself. That's what you create. That's what creates the emotions and the thoughts around how you feel. Yeah? So, and this is what Eckhart Tolle says from A New Earth. He says emotions plus an unhappy story equals unhappy. It's not the emotions themselves. It's the emotions plus the unhappy story that you're attaching to those emotions. That equals unhappy. This is big. This is also in line with what Genevieve Davis says. You only ever feel what you're thinking. In other words, you only ever feel what the story that you're telling yourself, because the story that you're telling yourself is your current thoughts and beliefs of who you are and what your life is like. When you change that, you change your life. When you change that, you change your feelings, and then you change your experience. That's big. So the emotions, happy, sad, depressed, excited, all of that is your body's response to your thoughts. All of that is your body's response to the story you're telling yourself. Those are your thoughts. That's big. You only ever feel what you're thinking. You only ever feel the story you're telling yourself. Now, why can you tell yourself a big story? Because the 3D world doesn't have an effect on you. It's not the 3D world that causes you to feel anything. It all comes from within you, comes from that story. That's the knowing that makes you invisible. That's why you cannot mind what happens, right? So Eckhart Tolle does a great job of this, because you're still saying, well, there's still a gap there. What is that gap? Eckhart Tolle talks about the unhappiness gap. He doesn't specifically name it that, but there's a gap between what you want and what is. When that gap is closed and those become one, then you get everything you want. You can't get from unhappy to happy. The only way you can get there is accept what is. Make what is what you want. When what is becomes what you want, you have closed the gap, and then you attract everything that you want in your life. This is the paradox. That's how it works. That's how you close the unhappiness gap, right? If there's a gap between what you want and what is, you'll never get there. How do you close the gap? By wanting what is. Accepting, not minding what happens. Accepting all outcomes, and then holding that intention of what your desire and what you want and your ideal. When you do that, the universe brings you everything. This is big, guys. That's how you close the unhappiness gap. That's the knowing that makes you invisible. right? Nothing in the outside world can hurt you. Nothing in the outside world can determine what your story is. You determine your story, and when you change your story, you change your thoughts. When you change your thoughts, you change your feelings. When you change your feelings, the world must yield to you. That's how you do it. I am your host, Tom Kieran. This is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button, and like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. Follow us at Be Something Wonderful, on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Twitter and Instagram at Tom Kieran. Visit our website at tomkieran.com or besomethingwonderful.com, or write me at info@besomethingwonderful.com. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, this is Tom with great love.